Welcome, everybody, to Flat Earth Nation. MudFlood was Armageddon. It is a Flat Earth Nation. MudFlood was Armageddon. Don't let them tell you anything else unless they're willing to debate you in a fair and honest way. I have a link in there for Tommy. Hopefully, he's going to be joining us. And as usual, would you start out? Of course, here's if you speak Paco, you know that this means subscribe to Tommy and then the link. So that's the deal with that. Cool, huh? Super cool. So we're going to be looking at a day in the life of Tommy, what went on, and I'm going to let him explain it. And I'll be trying to, keep up doing some of that, what they call that, stop and drop commentary. There he is. Tommy, what's new?
I do a quick video this morning. Had a semi intervention yesterday. Fella met my golf. What the heck was that? Fella met playing golf. Came over and we had a beer and talked, and I come in there.
This is my first stop and drop, commentary. Is that because he was coming over, we said, hey, he's doing us a favor, going to stop by and say hi. We were going like, do you want us to get some beer? Or we had a 12-pack that wasn't open. It's not like we're sitting around here every day drinking beer. Beer, bapa beer. This is what Tommy was talking about.
Yes. And so I come back out, I hear Alan going in the Bible, I'm like, okay, so Alan is going down that road.
Yeah, man. I'm going to go down that road.
He's Catholic, Baptist, if he even believes in God, right? So we start talking premillennialism to him. And he's Pentecostal or Church of God or something. Alan knows they clarified that before I got out. But he thinks we're crazy. Oh man, he thinks we're crazy. I've heard about people like, I just ain't never met one. And we're just like, hey Lee, how's it gonna be? And so we're like, hey, here it is. Or just think about it. Read the scriptures. I know what's going on. These are the times, it's happening. He's gonna return. We're just like, what if he's already returned? Oh, there's no way. So I sent him a video, and we'll see. We'll see what happens. We didn't even get to Flat Earth.
And so now this guy is going to be preaching to Tommy. He thinks that he's going to settle it all, and he's going to school Tommy like he didn't know anything about the Bible whatsoever. So this is about to stir up, and then Tommy gets stirred up after he thought about it, because he must have woke up about 4 or 5 in the morning to make this video. And he gets into, it's like, and this guy, because, it comes down to one of my pet peeves is somebody that cheats at something, especially golf. And we're not naming names here, but he knows who he is. And this really happened.
Before he pulls out, we holler at him. Sorry. As he gets in trouble, we go, oh, by the way, the earth is flat. He jumps out, he's, what? I suppose those pictures are lies. Yeah, that's it. Let me get the dog. Come on, Bob.
This is fun, huh? This is what was going on about 5:30 this morning when I kind of woke up, was checking the news, and then caught Tommy rehashing our day yesterday.
Yes, they are. Yeah, they're all fake. What? Like, remember the Bible? The Lord, set there firmly on its pillars. Set a ball on a pillar. And he's like, oh, whatever.
Because, in reality, you don't set a ball on the pillar. I want to notice one thing. Look how focused it is on this cup when you put it there, Tommy. Check that out.
Well, this guy, he doesn't listen to anything we say. He's one of those, and you're in that predicament with those kind of people when he laughs at what we're saying. It's wrong, maybe borderline evil, what we're saying. Yet he turns around and says, when I was a kid, 9, 10 years old, he was saved, he was washed in the blood, he was baptized. And then he started speaking in tongues. And he's done it many times. And it's been clear as a day.
Yeah, the word he used was as soon as he got the Holy Ghost, he was fluent in speaking in tongues. Now, I'm witnessing all of this because I was trying to witness too.
And I'm just like, see, I won't look you in the eye and go, bullshit. I don't believe you for a minute. I don't believe you for 1 minute. Can you get excited and emotionally charged and really, 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 really feel the Holy Spirit? Sure, yeah, I believe so, but I don't know about Billy. Speaking in tongues down at the local Presbyterian church.
That's not his real name.
Now he might, but for me, I've always just stuck with what the Bible says about that. If you're gonna do it, it better be prophetic, and there better be somebody there to interpret it, or shut up, don't do it. That's what the Bible says. Don't do it. Don't do it unless it's in the sweet spot. And people like that.
Okay, so now we'll break in. I want to say hello to everybody. See if anybody's joined us in the chat. Nope, there's a few people watching. But now, so we're going to go to, let's look up 1 Corinthians. Let's look up the 2nd chapter of Acts.
I'm sitting there waiting.
I got the link in there, man.
I'm sitting there waiting. I'm in the backstage. You go ahead and click me in.
Oh, there's Tommy.
Hold on.
He's going to unmute his mic and we'll get settled down here. But yeah, I was going on and on. And Tommy's right here. He can do the setup better than me. But I'm going to look up. I'll bring him back in here. Or I think we can hear him now. He's all caught up. Tommy, here?
Yeah. Turn yours down a little bit. It's echoing in here.
Got it.
Let's see. That's getting better.
All
But
right.
no, I'm gonna jump on for a minute. I heard you talking about our friend, and that is how do you deal with that? Those people, because I mean he knows the Bible, right, Alan? I mean
He knows it, yeah. And he's in a church where they question, they don't have anything to do with the Trinity. He believes that you should only be baptized in Jesus' names, but if you don't speak in tongues, then that's the sign you're not going to heaven. If
Right.
you don't speak in tongues, you don't go to heaven. And what Tommy was trying to say is what he's looking for is bewilderment of Acts chapter 2, verse 5, because at the time when Peter witnessed this miraculous speaking in tongues, they were gathered devout men there for Passover because of John the Baptist and Jesus's ministry. Devout men from every nation under heaven. And at this sound, the multitude came together. So we kind of, I kind of lean toward what Tommy wants, a rushing wind and the flame of fire, along with the speaking in tongues.
Right.
Because all these nations were bewildered. Now get a load of this. They're all astonished and everything. But here's what Tommy was digging in with yesterday. But how is it that we hear each of us in his own native language? Parthians, Medes, Elamites, residents of Mesopotamia, Judea, Cappadocia, Pontus, and then here's the departing Asia. They all left him, and that's a big one. Phrygia, Pamphylia, Egypt. That's us here in the United States. We were over there going like, hey, what's up? We were hearing about John the Baptist now, and he was telling about this guy named Jesus. Just going on, Africa, Cyrene, wherever that is, and Rome, Jews and Gentiles. And they all heard them telling in their own tongues the mighty work of God. That's not what we're witnessing today. Go, Tommy.
Right. I mean, that's basically, like you said, that's my simple point is that was such a specialized situation. And the message was such a specialized thing at a specialized time. And these people just take it for granted that it can happen anytime, anywhere, but only to the chosen. It's like,
so many of them get caught cheating, the ones that you hear about that bring the biggest disgrace on the name of Jesus.
Right.
Are people like Jimmy Swaggart, Peter Popoff, Kenneth Copeland. That guy, I can't believe they just declared him the richest evangelist in the world.
Which one?
Kenneth Copeland. And he's
really?
Nuts.
Right.
I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep rolling here.
Well, I'm gonna jump off.
Okay.
Back. I'm gonna go lay down.
All right.
I would
Well, you take it easy. I'm gonna keep going, explaining the day, and just touch on the part where he knew that we offered to come over. Do you want us to have a beer? We had an unopened 12-pack. There's still it's not like we finished it off,
right?
But we thought we were doing him a favor. You want to talk about any of that before you take off?
Oh, well, just the guy, he was nice enough, and when I talked to him, he says, "Well, you think it'd be easier you come here or me come there?" And I said, "Probably here, because you know the area way better, and come here." And I sent him the address and told him come have a beer, and he showed up, and we shared, and it seemed like he's a go-between. We'll do things like that and to have some for himself just a little bit for a while. But nice guy. And then, like Alan said, the flat earth and the proto-millennialism.
Right. See, what Tommy's talking about is what we call medicine, flower, prescription medication in a lot of states. But he was helping get some medicine. You guys know what we're talking about. And then all of a sudden the conversation turned, well, you're just using drugs. And that's the furthest thing, because Tommy met this guy because he's hanging out with other guys that are even older than Tommy, but Tommy's in the same boat. He's constantly, he seems young and fit, and he is, but he's in constant pain. So I don't like the way Billy, as you called him, turned the conversation. And before you sign off, I just wanted you to touch on it.
Well, just one of those self-righteous. He's holding a beer, and I'm telling him, my faith in God, my personal journey is, is solidified, I'm fine. And he's like, well, you drink beer and you do that. Put it down. Stop. You know, one of those guys, I'm like, I can, but you're on the premise of my intent with
Right.
it.
And I think I know your intent as well as anybody. So explain what they're all going to be hearing is that what I know in my heart, that if you tell me this guy can't golf an 80, 81, you know he's not that good a golfer because you know how hard that is to do.
Right. Right. But, you know, he's
So,
just self-righteous going, then stop it if you're saved and you're all this. While he's got one in his hand, he's partaking and everything's fine. No big deal. But he finds no problem going, look at you.
right. And if you cheat at golf when people aren't looking, that's like cheating a blind man. And
Right.
so that's what it is that eventually he didn't confront him out of anger. And I hope that he realizes that this was all out of love because I don't think he went away angry. He just went away
Confused.
in that Hegelian dialectic mode. What are they? That cognitive dissonance was just
Right.
smacking him upside.
It was just going through his catalog to reinforce his own beliefs.
Okay. Any final words, Tommy?
Oh no, just everybody. I think we all know where we are, and I think we're more and more we're seeing that path narrow.
All right. Well, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. Talk to you soon, brother.
All right, everybody, be cool.
So we're going to keep going with the video now. I might make sure I'm sharing the screen. So that's pretty much the only thing that you'll need to understand going forward.
I don't care if he does see this video someday. I'm just gonna say, I got like that says he's been preaching the word since he's 9 years old. He's had, he's spoken tongues. I'm not apt to believe somebody like that cheats at golf. Cheats at golf. They cheat. These guys are cheaters at golf. And it's me. I believe in my salvation to the point that, cheating at golf is a sin. That's lying. That's cheating.
Man.
Good Lord, Fred. It's funny how they see that and go, perfectly sane, but you, what? And of course, me and Alan, how we know our points. We know how to get this across. I said, okay, all right, fair enough. Where's one of the 7 churches? Because right now, if we were heading into the tribulation and the rapture and all that, there should be 7 churches on scene that people know. They're doing pretty good. That's a good holy place. That's a holy place, especially Philadelphia. That's a holy place. Yeah. That should be happening. And it's not. And so we just, ask him, like that. He did well. Maybe.
And in case you write that off, think in your mind, where is the church that based on, like, if you're here, and what, basically the gist of MudFlood Armageddon, where would you send somebody to a big church, a city full of people that go like, yeah, those people are on fire for the Lord. That's what he's trying to get at.
Our church is the Church of Philadelphia. And I was like, wow, come on, man. Really? Maybe it's your church.
Oh, that's right. He thought it was his church.
And we just trying to explain to him. Showing pictures, MudFlood, fervent heat, melting elements, all of it. Because he knows about what he pop off scripture. And
Tommy's like on a 3-month detox, everyone. He's cleaning out his system and he's getting better.
Sorry, guys. Or late. But he knows his Bible, right? He knows it. And he also sitting there. We're all sharing a beer, smoking some weed. And he's like, but his beer is heavy. Okay. If you're not an addict, and you're not wrong, put that beer down. Put that weed down. Put down. Just put down. And I'm like, see, there you go. You're assuming I couldn't, and you're wrong. Because you don't know my intent when I drink a beer or when I smoke a joint. I don't know your intent. I don't pretend to know what your mindset and intent are when you drink a beer. You and most other people, when y'all drink a beer or smoke a joint, your intention is to get.
My intention is that we had a 12-pack that, was sitting there unopened. And we thought, well, hey, this guy's coming over, see if he wants a beer. And he sure did. It sounded like they had a beer when they were doing their golfing.
To alter your state. When I smoke weed, I'm going for pain control. I'm going for balance. I don't like stuff that gets me where I just want to pizza at the end. I don't like that. That's not me. He's like, well, no, well, that's not what I went. We're just slaves to our sin and all that. Well, you can be, but I'm not. That's in neither is Alan. I said, we may buy a 12-pack of beer in the last 2 weeks. Yeah, they're like, yeah, there's still several beers in there, and we're not big drinkers. Hey, Doc. I did, right? I did. I slept in a little today. Yeah. We went out and ate last night. Me and Kathy. It's funny. It's funny when you go places and you observe things.
I'm going to see if I have this one thing pulled up. It'll kind of tie into that because I don't know if I'll be able to find it, but something's been going on, flooding in Australia or something like that. I know that sometimes in the morning, Tommy talks to Ella from Australia. I was checking out some lyrics today. Here's the bad weather's coming. Where was that? I might have watched it on Bing. You guys ever see this?
Strangely, it seems, because the rover was not moving, it missed subsequent cleaning events, leading NASA to lose contact shortly after. Most recently, Opportunity has seen a surge in energy after a cleaning event in March, the Martian month coincidentally resulting in a power boost of 70% when compared with power levels at the start of this year. And now mission scientists have released a self-portrait photo of the Mars rover. When compared with the dust coverage at its worst, the difference is nothing short of dramatic. Having just survived its 6
to keep these lies going, they had to have a cleaning event on Mars.
Night to save energy, it is during these hours that something or someone has been helping to keep our rovers running. Opportunity has since been given 5 mission extensions, which it has successfully completed. In July 2007, during the 4th mission extension, severe Martian dust storms blocked sunlight to the rover and threatened the ability of the craft's survival. However, when the dust storms lifted, they revealed that something had cleaned the rover of nearly all debris. On May 1st, 2009, during its 5th mission extension, Spirit became stuck in the soft soils of Mars. After nearly 9 months of attempts to get the rover back on track, including test rovers on Earth, NASA announced on January 26, 2010, that Spirit was retasked as a stationary science platform. Strangely, it seems, because the rover was not moving, it missed subsequent cleaning events, leading NASA to lose contact shortly after. Most recently, Opportunity has seen a surge in energy after a cleaning event in March, the Martian month coincidentally resulting in a power boost of 70% when compared with power levels at the start of this year. And now mission scientists have released a self-portrait photo of the Mars rover. When compared with the dust coverage at its worst, the difference is nothing short of dramatic. Having just survived its 6th Mars winter, thanks to the most recent cleaning event, Opportunity now has solar panels that are as dust-free as they were when they entered the Martian atmosphere.
Man, how about that? You know, that's what you're called. That's a bonus. That's a bonus, everybody. Absolutely ridiculous. I know. Welcome, Pro-Am. And that was absolutely ridiculous. A cleaning event. What they want us to believe is absolutely, it should be beyond the pale, unbelievable. But now that was a diversion, a rabbit trail nipped in the bud, back to a day in the life of Tommy from Texas, FENDAP.
We're sitting there. I'm facing, we're on a patio outside this house last night. And I'm sitting I'm facing the doors where people come in, and Kathy and Alex are the other way. First thing, this couple walks in, and they're doing the scan, right? They're looking, they're talking to each other. The lady looks at her phone and goes, they said they were in here. And they're looking, and I mean, they're a couple of minutes, and this isn't that big an area to be scanning. And they leave. They go out the door, and I see them go back into the part of the restaurant. It's a pretty big place. And 2 minutes later, here comes another couple. Scanning, looking at their phone, going, almost the same thing. They said they were in here. Where are they? The husband pulls his phone out. He's looking. Yeah. They go out the same door. Not 2 minutes later.
We're going to go jump ahead a little bit.
Yeah, we run into a real true blue cut from the Cajun/swamp cloth.
So now he's back to the story of the Gulf cheater, but a nice guy. You know, he was very friendly. We don't want to piss him off. I like him.
He almost broke into. I'm gonna tell you now that you will be healed if you listen to me. And I mean, oh, happy birthday to you. Is it your birthday, Lee? Happy birthday, buddy. What's it like to be 28? I don't know. I can't remember. I was running that when I'm playing golf the other day. I'm riding with John. He's funny guy. Acts like news guy. Right. Yeah, the guy's just like, you couldn't tell if it was his birthday. It's not my birthday. My birthday's past. But the guy says he's married to a 45-year-old woman. His wife's 45. And he's older than me. He's 60 probably. And I'm like,
all right, you guys can watch this later. It's like PG.
Last time I slept was it 2008 or 10? That Congress, because the Republicans are in control, they passed legislation that was a pay-as-you-go bill. If you don't have the money to pay for the deal you want, then automatically you have to propose a cut somewhere equal to it, right? They passed that legislation. It's there. They're supposed to do it with everything, and they don't do it at all. So he says, we've got like $5 billion sitting in a fund that was going to go to Afghanistan. Well, that's not going there anymore. He says, and you're proposing legislation to give Israel $2 billion for their dome, for their security. And he's like, we've got that money. Why don't we just take that slush fund? We'll allocate the
You know, and where he's kind of, you know, this side trail by Tommy, he's going to explain why your money and your investments are not safe, especially tied up in a bank, because this is all going to Chronos time, of where he can document the source of how he knows how, you know, that this is happening, that one of the major software companies that their name is Chronos is being blackmailed, and it's not being talked about right now. And when he talks about our dollars being inflated, think of the Reichsmark. Yeah, they also, let me look you in the face while I remind you of this. Yeah, they had to go down to the store with a wheelbarrow to buy a loaf of bread. But on the way, they stopped by and paid off the mortgage on their house. Do you understand? Because if their mortgage was this much and their house was that much and that much cost of bread, how much did they pay off their house? They're expunging all debt right now. Does that sound serious enough for you? I know that Tommy likes to keep it light and things like that, but the seriousness of what he's trying to keep funny can't be left out of the picture. And that's something that you all are programmed to relate to. Yeah, they paid a wheelbarrow for a loaf of bread. Right, because their house was paid off, because their money didn't mean anything, and they only owed that much of what they call money, mammon. And trust in it, you're trusting in death. Death, doobie-doo-dah, death. Nobody wants that.
And we'll put the rest back in the treasury and close that program down. Just be done with it. But we can't do that here. That's not the way we work. And it is so true. They are just, oh, it's so sickening what they're doing to us. And we let them. We let them. And when you see stuff, like I watched a clip the other day of a guy's calling Adam Schiff out for all of his lies during the Russia hoax. And this guy is so weak, so spineless. Adam Schiff says to him, well, okay. He gives him some time to review. And he says, he starts reading out there, are you talking about the fact that Donald Trump Jr., contacted Russian agents and was willing to take, it's just little bitty things that's true. He talked to them, but they were talking supposedly about the justice policy of doing adoptions for Russian children, from what I understand. But Adam Schiff, and all Adam Schiff ever does is that he talked to him and was willing to take dirt on Hillary Clinton. Well, that's no problem. But he throws that out, and this guy's like, well, you said you had evidence of this and this, and so he lets Adam Schiff just throw out another little piece of, yeah, that's true, but then what you attached to it wasn't. But he gets to say it, and everybody's like, well, I guess he told you, dude. Shut up. Then pay the gold back. The U.S., we don't have the gold. We don't have it. We don't have it. Look up the documentary about Fort Knox. There's a good one about Fort Knox, that they believe that now there's less than a fifth of the gold in Fort Knox that was once there. That there was a movement of a large amount of gold back in, I believe it was the 60s or the 70s. And I can't remember if it had anything to do with us going off the gold standard, but I know there was a big to-do that was not complete.
Okay, so let's look up the Fort Knox gold hoax. See where it is. What? Look at the first thing. Why Fort Knox probably has no gold store in it. In October, only 4 minutes. Let's check it out. A 4-minute read. Independent. News International. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, it says in Hosea chapter 4, verse 6. New International Version translation. Why Star Fort Knox probably has no gold stored there. This is from February 1st, 2010. Nobody realized yet how bad the economics collapse of 2009 that began in 2008 was yet, where people, it finally broke one of their last beliefs that an investment in real estate never goes down. It looks like this could be a good one. Look at this. Selling a book called The Greatest Lie on Earth, Flat Earth, and calling it the mother of all conspiracies. I like this guy already. Chinese say they received bogus bars of gold traced to the United States. Debasement of money. Not your basement of man cave, debasement of gold. It's what started with Henry VIII, but that's another story. Pat Shannon wrote in 2010, could over 1 million bars of, in quotes, gold, much of which is still held in Fort Knox, Kentucky, be counterfeit? In October 2009, discovery suggests this may be true, has been suppressed by the mainstream media, but has been circulating among the open quote, big money, close quote, brokers and financial kingpins like Elon Musk, I'll bet. It is just now being revealed to the public. Gold is regularly exchanged between countries to pay debts and to settle the so-called balance of trade. It is often used as a hedge against falling currency, not like your United States dollars, fiat backed by nothing, that are waiting to pay off your house in this post-apocalyptic, but could it still get worse, life we're living in real time. It is often used as a hedge against falling currency. We left off there. Gold is regularly traded and stored in vaults under strict supervision of a special organization based in Londonistan, known as the London Bullion Market Association, blah, 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 blah. In October 2009, China reportedly received a large shipment of gold containing some 6,000 bars weighing 400 ounces each. Yabba dabba do, 24 million ounces, it would seem, of gold. 250,000 ounces of gold, thereabout. Could be more, could be less, could be a lot more, could be a lot less. Could it be fake gold? When it was received, the Chinese government asked that tests be performed to guarantee the purity and weight of the gold bars. In this test, 4 small holes were drilled into the bars and the metal was analyzed. Officials were shocked to find the bars were bogus. They contained cores of tungsten with only an outer coating of real gold. What's more, these gold bars containing special serial numbers for tracking originated in the United States and had reportedly been stored in Fort Knox. Death by 1,000 cuts, anybody? According to Gold Expert, and Theo is, that's short for the name of God. So Theo Gray, He says there are very few metals that are as dense as gold. With only 2 exceptions, they all cost as much or more than gold. The standard gold bar for bank-to-bank trade, known as a London good delivery bar, weighs 400 troy ounces, more than 33 pounds, yet is no bigger than a paperback novel. I flew in from Miami Beach, BOAC. Didn't get to bed last night. All the way the paperback was on my knee, and man, I had a dreadful flight. To put it in perspective, a bar of steel the same size weighs only 13.5 pounds. That's compared to the 33. So that's more than twice as much, coming in at 27 pounds compared to the 33. There was a problem that the Ethiopians had in early 2008 when they tried to dump millions of dollars in fake gold into South African banks. What were supposed to be bars of solid gold turned out to be nothing more than gold-plated steel. South Africans quickly figured this out and sent the shipment back, apparently discovering the hoax with only minimal investigation. The first exception to the weight of gold is depleted uranium. This material is also dirt cheap if you're a government, but it's hard for individuals to get. It's also radioactive, which makes the handling of it impractical. But if you wanted to hide depleted uranium, you could best shield it in gold. I'm just saying. They continue. Interestingly enough, before the depleted uranium was widely used as a United States weapons component to make shells more able to penetrate hardened targets, tungsten was used for that purpose. But tungsten is vastly cheaper than gold, maybe $30 a pound, compared to $2,000 an ounce for gold right now. It has exactly the same density as gold to 3 decimal places. So it has the same density as gold. Therefore, it has to be drilled with one of those special gold drills to detect the fraud. The only differences are that it's the wrong color and that it's much harder than gold. Pure gold is soft and can be dented with a fingernail. At first, many gold experts speculated that the fake gold must have originated in China, which is considered the world's knockoff producers. However, the Chinese government investigated and issued a statement pointing a finger squarely at the United States. That's squarely and crossbones. Now I'm trying to think of a compass, a square and compass, finger squarely and compass pointed at the United States. Anyway, the Chinese claimed that in 1995, according to Bill Clinton, and these knuckleheads that are still in the news, believe it or not, we've been living with this for 40 years now. Between 1.3 million and 1.5 million 400-ounce tungsten blanks were manufactured by a sophisticated refiner in the United States, amounting to more than 16,000 metric tons. Some 640,000 of these tungsten blanks were then gold-plated and shipped to Fort Knox, according to the Chinese, where they are said to remain to this day. The Chinese contend that the remaining collection of these 400-ounce fakes, 33 pounds, was eventually gold plated and then sold into the international market. In case you were wondering what Tommy was talking about, what they're talking about. We don't know. What are they talking about, man? That's my gold. Where's my gold? Since 1953, they're not testing the gold because the winners of the war rewrite the history, and that's all fake gold. Gold, bop-a-loo bop, gold. Welcome to Star Fort Knox. I think I was asked to see if Star Fort Knox was a star fort. So now we know. It's a star fort, baby. Nope. Hold on. That's not Fort Knox. What are they trying to pull? Star Fort Knox. Look, there's a hot furnace at Fort Knox. Just stop it. Stay. Ruger, stay. Ruger. Good boy. Yay. Go ahead. Go say hi. I wonder why that didn't come up on the here. It's only one picture. Hi, Kathy.
Sorry.
That's okay. I want the whole thing to pull up, but it keeps showing the same picture. Well, that would look just like the pictures from everywhere else in the world. That's a hot shot furnace. What is this? That's Fort Knox? That's Fort Knox, Maine, everybody, not Kentucky. Hold on. So we've already confirmed that Fort Knox in Maine is a star fort, man. That ought to do it. That's a star fort, baby. Man, that's your best picture? Come on. So this is definitely star 40. Fort Knox is a star fort. You can see what they call whatever these were for. So we've got that all figured out. What else are you wasting time with? That's not it. There must be a game called that.
You want to? Finger. You know Operation Grand Slam simply won't work.
Incidentally, a Delta 9 nerve gas is fatal.
You are unusually well informed, Mr. Bond.
You kill 60,000 people uselessly.
American motorists kill that many every 2 years.
The Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines move in and make you put it back.
Who mentioned anything about removing it? Did you return?
If he could make it all turn radioactive, what is making that noise?
Do you mind if I get my hands out of here?
Yeah, do it slowly.
Put the lasers. Put the lasers on it. Back to Tommy now that we know what this gold is all about. We're talking about gold there, you know, and the inflation, what it does. Are they going to nuke it? Do we have fake gold? That's what Luther's talking about. He's going to be talking to, well, it looks like it looks like Lee is here, and he was in on this conversation this morning. Welcome, brother.
Explain. And supposedly, anytime they do show Fort Knox in the gold, it's just one little part, and it's not supposed to be this huge vault with all this gold. Mm-hmm. There was some there. Yeah, like there was some there. And I think that was more of a layer, you know, for the powers, you know, just probably so they could go walk amongst it type of deal. Oh, right. They didn't care about the people. They didn't care about nothing. That's true. That's true. But I don't think it was the amount that is
Hey, what's going on? I must have lost my connection there for a second. Man, I am not even showing that. How about that? Look, the balloon crashed. Welcome, Marcella. Welcome, Lee. Hope you guys are having a good time learning something. We're putting down things for posterity's sake. Now, where was that? We're not talking about that. This is for later. Ghost dancing. This is a part of our history that's very important.
Vision Chases, Dr. Bird here. The very short clip that you just watched is of the Native Americans from the Sioux tribe performing what was called the ghost dance.
I just really feel warned to
Vision Chases.
have people not, you know, just because things aren't working out in your own church, to run and start looking for other answers and go, well, I need to be a Hopi Indian or I need to be a Sioux Indian, but not also to do equally as bad to ignore, you know, where they fit in history.
And the United States westward expansion and reclaiming of Native American land is all but complete. Native Americans have been reduced to smaller plots of land called reservations. And there are numerous attempts to change their culture and force them to assimilate into white culture. Now, naturally, after the treatment that Native Americans received from the United States government.
Now, look at the city they left behind, everybody. Do you see where my mouse is? They're leaving behind the Brooklyn Bridge, star Fort cities, because now they've got the trains. And it's not just over here. The same thing's happening up here.
Many of them are going to be angry by the broken promises and by the poor treatment. Some Native Americans will resort to violence. But then there were other Native Americans who turned to their religion in order to help them find a solution that would better their circumstances. And this is where the ghost dance comes in. It was believed that if people practiced the ghost dance and rejected the ways of white culture, then the gods would be pleased with them and the gods would make things better by eliminating all those other non-believers. And so the Native Americans would once again be able to move freely about the land as things were.
Remember, this is all rewritten history, but bring it back together for us now. Get back on point, brother.
Attempt to prevent the ghost dance from ever being practiced. On December 15th, 1890, the police go to arrest Sitting Bull, who is a Sioux chief. Now, in this process, the police actually kill Sitting Bull. And this is
over the ghost dance. This is our recent history. This is the Trinitarians enforcing some crazy things on us that we have to believe their way or we're going to be killed.
To make things worse, because Sitting Bull was very popular amongst his people. Now imagine that you have all of this tension in such a tight place on this reservation in South Dakota. Now, just 14 days later, another incident is going to occur, and this incident is going to simply be called or known as Wounded Knee. Now, it's called Wounded Knee because there's a creek nearby called Wounded Knee Creek. So this is going to lead to the deaths of over 150 men, women, and children. Now, over half of those bodies that were discovered were women and children. So the United States military, once again, they go to seize weapons from a group of Native Americans, and so they surround them. Now, as they're rounding up these weapons,
I just need to, sorry to interrupt you, brother. I just want you to notice the kit built.
Now, as they're rounding up these weapons, we go to
in the background there. You can order that kit out of a catalog, and they build it usually on the foundation of, or just dress up. Maybe that's a brick building in the back, but you know, you can see there's another framed building over there. Boom, set up a trading post on it. It's that easy. It's ours now.
Seize weapons from a group of Native Americans, and so they surround them. Now, as they're rounding up these weapons, we don't know who fired the first shot. It is either a Native American or someone who is part of the United States military. But once this first shot is fired, there's a brief fight, and then it just turns into a massacre, because as many of the Native Americans are trying to flee this gunfight, it is discovered that many of these Native American bodies had bullets in their backs, and so they're just trying.
Okay, so, and even as this brother, make sure I'm still sharing here, is trying, you know, call it a gunfight. That's not even fair, because they all had no weapons except maybe one rifle, and that just seems too hard to believe. But that day was a testing site at the ghost dance. That's a long thing to type right there. Lakota massacre at Wounded Knee. I wonder if there's a picture that shows the machine guns. Nope, that's just a broken wagon. But here's the Medal of Honors. 21 medals of honor were given to people like this who showed up to use the first known, what they say was a war, but they actually were shooting people with Gatling guns that had surrendered their weapons and had been accused of doing the ghost dance, which was a prayer for peace. So they killed the converted Presbyterian Sitting Bull. "23, my mistake." That's all you get? Well, here it said there were 23 soldiers from the 7th Cavalry, avenging their, getting, when the Sioux did fight back, they killed, Custer and those people. And so now they bring in 23 soldiers from the 7th Cavalry, later awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor for the slaughter of defenseless Indians at Wounded Knee. The wounded and dying were taken to a makeshift hospital at the Pine Ridge Episcopal Church. In 1891, President Harrison awarded the first of 20 medals of honor that would go to soldiers for their actions at Wounded Knee. That's just abhorrent. Abhorrent. Your word of the day is abhorrent. See any comment there? That's right. Now, where's this at? Who made those 20 videos, Muddy Orphan? Drop that in there.
Is unproven to be held in our storages. When I first started buying silver, they tried to push silver certificates on me, and I was like, "Why would I want a piece of paper?" Well, it's the same as whatever. I gotta go back and look at that building. Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah, that's a good point. And go back and look at Fort Knox and see what's up with that. That's a good one. Like, whose gold was it? Was it all just in Solomon's gold, or what's the deal? What's the deal? Because I've often thought, you hear and read the depictions of the biblical times, and there was a lot of gold. They made a lot of things out of gold. And then, you get to this point in history. Is that gold accounted for in any way? Is there even a close summation or estimation of what came forward, how much was lost? Any ideas? Because
and doesn't it come into anybody else's mind that they seem to be able to track this gold, like from where they extract it? Like, oh, they must have found this quality of gold at this place and it was smelted at this time. I mean, I thought they had this stuff tracked.
what we have right now has been, what do they call it? What's that word? It's where you can't remember that word. There's a technical word for when you take an asset and you borrow against it multiple times. I forget the word all of a sudden. But that's every ounce of gold has been leveraged, mortgaged, tenfold. It's our debt is probably at least 20 to 1, 30 to 1 to gold that we have. Yeah, they've been doing their best. Now, do you remember? I remember in the 80s when we always see on the news those pictures from China and everybody's wearing a mask all the way back then. You would think that there would be some solid evidence on masks from just China, if nothing else, that they've been wearing them a long time. You got to be able to get some information about, down to the no doubt, other than new technologies that come out that may be improve the masks. Right. There might not have ever been any gold. The pictures they did show might have been props. I mean, we know a lot of this now, don't we? I mean, we know a lot of things, just because there was a picture of it doesn't mean that wasn't staged. That doesn't mean that was real. That's why when people like my friend say stuff like, y'all's friends do, what about the pictures? You trust the pictures. Okay. First time you saw something photoshopped, you were probably one of those people going, no way, man, I saw a picture of it. No, dude, when he tries to explain it, they photoshopped that. Bullshit, man, I seen the picture. It was real. And I've had several people. I try to explain to them, look, the government / NASA / Department of Defense, those things, they've had Photoshop for quite a while. Way before we got it with Windows and such. And they've been faking pictures. Hollywood has had that ability to manipulate for a long time. Oh, sure, yeah.
And I want to, Muddy Orphans, if you can, get your microphone ready. I'll put a link in later, or I already have one. But I want to talk to you later about what 30 videos you're talking about, because I feel like I'm in the mood to address things here. Got a little rain. And then when that stops, I'm going to work on the stones. But yeah, if anybody wants to jump on, be prepared.
I mean, I believe that's been one of their, I guess you'd say, talking points, is that, hey, this is an act of war, basically. If you find out that they actually purposely distributed this, then you should call it that. And I don't know, is he wrong? Is he wrong? Somebody did it deliberately. Was it a country? Was it a conglomerate? Was it a shadow government? Who knows? Who did it? It's like I've talked 1,000 times about, said it once. My whole life, every decade, these elected people and non-electeds get in the most blatant trap, busted, caught, you did it, no doubts, there's evidence, and nobody pays the price. Nobody. Every decade. And at the end of it, you see a little blurb where they say, oh, by the way, that investigation wrapped up the other day. Here's the conclusion. Yeah, people did some stuff they shouldn't have, but we're going to fix it with policies. And you're done. Nobody ever gets in trouble. My whole life. That's all that ever happens. Even now and then, a white-collar dude, some banker, a hedge fund guy, he'll get busted, but that ain't nothing compared to our elected officials, man. Nothing. They smell good.
They smell good for the camera. What does that mean? Who smells good? Oh, the stinking rotting corpses that are our politicians. Well, Alan's theory, and I don't disagree with it, is, when the devil's loosed and stuff, one of the first things that you see in the historical record of anything happening in China is when Japan invades Manchuria. And then before that, even when we the West forces opium on China.
Hey, that is my theory. So let's hear that a little bit more.
Did some stuff they shouldn't have, but we're going to fix it with policies. And you're done. Nobody ever gets in trouble. My whole life. That's all that ever happens. Even now and then, a white-collar dude, some banker, a hedge fund guy, he'll get busted, but that ain't nothing compared to our elected officials, man. Nothing. They smell good. What? They smell good for the camera? What does that mean? Who smells good? Oh, the stinking rotting corpses that are our politicians. Well, Alan's theory, and I don't disagree with it, is, when the devil's loosed and stuff, one of the first things that you see in the historical record of anything happening in China is when Japan invades Manchuria. And then before that, even when we the West forces opium on China. That a lot of people contend China's still mad, and they've had a plan for 200 years. Death by 1,000 cuts, type of deal.
So let's flesh that out. This is nice. I just have, there's still like another half to go. I'm going to save some of these. I don't want to save this one. So let's look at that. I'm going to type in here, death by 1,000 cuts. You probably think that must be a computer doing all of that. So there's a song by a Taylor Swift. Don't tell me it's a dude, man. Say goodbye to death by 1,000 cuts. Saying goodbye is death by 1,000 cuts. You might think that's death by 1,000 cuts. It's an idiom. Lychee, Ling Chi, is from the China underground, translated variously as the slow process, the lingering death, or slow slicing, and also known as death by 1,000 cuts, was a form of torture and execution used in China from roughly 900 or 1900, who knows, until it was banned in 1905. Stop slow slicing people to a lingering death, everybody. So they had to stop doing that, It's also used in Vietnam and Korea, reserved for crimes viewed as especially heinous, such as treason. Some Westerners were executed in this manner, even after the practice was said it's against the law to slow lingering death people to death by 1,000 cuts. Stop it, is what they were. Stop that, or you're going to be given a timeout, or we'll call in Curly Joe, the forgotten stooge, and he'll say, oh, I'll give you such a smack. The process involved tying the condemned prisoner to a wooden frame, usually in a public place. The flesh was then cut from the body in multiple slices to get a pound of flesh. Something like that. Confucianism, Kabbalah much? A principle of filial piety, a virtue of respect for one's parents, said it had something to do with it. Stop the mass cutting and torturing. So it could be, maybe it was a sensationalized myth of what those other people in other star forts do. It could be an example of exaggerated propaganda. 1905 doesn't seem quite that far ago, doesn't seem that long time ago as it used to be. And we haven't even gotten into, stick to it, Tommy's going to be getting into Chronos and time. What? Stop it. That's terrible. And we want to act like this isn't coming again, that the same people aren't in charge. We've got it all figured out. George Ernst Morrison, an Australian in China, written in 1895, differs in some other reports in stating that most death by 1,000 cut mutilations are in fact made post-mortem. I don't think so. Morrison wrote his description based on account related to and by a claimed eyewitness. The prisoner is tied up to a rude cross. He is invariably deeply under the influence of opium. It's all about opium, and make it all go away is what they just want to do. And they're on it. They just can't stand the pain. So on the 9/11 relates the story of the assassination of Yang Xing-Sun, governor of Xinjiang in 1928, and a bodyguard seized and slaughtered, executed by death by 1,000 cuts. This is still something that is on their mind. And the reason that they hate it is that they still, what China thinks they're dealing with, they call a century of shame. We translate it as humiliation. 100 years of national humiliation is the term used and has been used in China since 1915. So 106 years. It has to do with what is described as the period of intervention and subjugation of the Qing dynasty. We saw that just ended in 1905. Everything's recent history in a rewritten world. A post-apocalyptic world where Armageddon's over, so is the 1,000 years and the reaping, and we're living in a time where Satan's loosed. Tommy doesn't have time to go into all the details of my theories, so I had to make a little extra time here to flesh it out. It all goes back to 21 demands made by Japan. And Machete was demanding it. Doesn't that guy look like the guy they call Machete? So anyway, they hate us, and they've been hating us for a while because we did this. We just went in and took them over because we needed to sell heroin. China gold, China white, Bermuda Triangle, and now Afghanistan too. That's TOO, to emphasize also. Burned their ships, sacked their star forts, invaded Manchuria. All because they wanted to sell opium in star fort cities that were not their own. Boxer Rebellion much? And then they were passing out Congressional Medals of Honor. At the Star Fort cities, let's go get them, boys. They'll love heroin. And right now, we're still dealing with the OxyContin things going on in the United States. Don't tell me we're not. Insurance will pay the bill, and a wheelbarrow full of money will pay off a loaf of bread and your house as we all start from scratch because there's no more money in the bank. What good is a paid off house if the only thing they want is your food and your life? I'm not wasting my time. I'm telling you the truth. This is God's judgment. There's no coming back from this. Those days are over. Gog and Magog are upon you. And I was just doing that, because, hey, Tommy was talking about my theory. Back to Tommy. You finished getting that drink of coffee yet?
The Art of War. I told Alan yesterday. I said, think about that. My whole life, I've heard this whole thing about the book, The Art of War, Shinzu, all that stuff, and a lot of the tenets to it. Not that I said, I think that's just all part of the programming, because we're so arrogant. We think, well, we understand the art of war. It's not going to happen to us. Our head's on a swivel. They're not going to infiltrate us. They're not going to, death by 1,000 cuts. Not us. Now look around. That's exactly what's happening. That's exactly what happened. Yeah, y'all, simple stuff like that. When you watch those crash tests on that rocket sled of airplanes into that brick wall down, they just crush like a beer can. There's no way they're going through that building. No way. That was a bunker buster that hit that. They knew they had weakened the areas and stuff. They knew if they hit it right in the right spots, it was a bunker buster, it'd be all good. Sure. Yeah. It was one of the things that turned me completely on that was when I saw the deal about the dustification of the buildings. That blew me away, man. I ain't never.
Let's check it out. See what that we got going here. Man. Come on, people, now smile on your brother. Another angle. Watch this tower.
Seen that like that before. Those pillars just falling, and as they fall, they just turn to dust. They don't go on down and crash and boom, you know, big slabs of concrete. Doesn't happen. It was crazy. Dude, I've seen the deals of that stuff being transported all around the country. To be honest, my whole life. I've driven down many of highway interstates across many of the states here, and many times I've seen mile-long trains loaded with nothing but artillery or tanks or Hummers or, you know, whatever. I've seen it my whole life. And, you know, yeah, I think a lot of that stuff is these days everybody's got a camera. So they're just passing it on. You know, I don't think there was anything different. We've always had the infrastructure set up here with all of our bases and all our fort systems, and you know, the military can just bam take over the railways at any time. They get priority. They just get to boom on through. So, you know, there's that. I don't think it's any different. They just, like Trump said something really interesting about as the jab was getting ready. He said he's already got everything set up with the military. All his generals have everything within 24 hours. They're ready. They could get their vaccine, their jab distributed, you know, throughout the country. It was in one of his speeches. He said, we're ready. But, and logistically, our military has been supposed to be ready minutes notice, no matter the situation, you know. So Trump beefed that up and made sure everybody was on alert. And it, you know, you could tell, you could see a little more activity. Oh, wow, what's that? You know, because now you're on high alert. Now you're hearing, whoa, these people aren't cool. Our government is not cool. They might try to do something to us.
Do you hear? That's a bug flying in front of his microphone.
We're gonna do it. So Baxter, you're certainly comfortable, aren't you, son? You are comfortable. Oh, off a different note, my old '69 pickup, and I put a get off of there, bug. But I put a for sale sign on it. Now I've had a couple of people stop, and you know, the Lord works in mysterious ways. 2 houses down, I didn't pay any attention.
There's a guy lives down there, and he restores old vehicles.
Let's check it out. So that's it, except his is got not that color. Wow, that one looks cool. Well, that's not exactly like Tommy's, but anyway, that's what he's got going. That's what he's talking about.
And he pulled in yesterday and wanted to talk about my truck. Well, after talking to him, I was like, dude, I was thinking about selling it, but you think we can finish it off for that amount of money? And he's like, oh, yeah. He said, man, you're a neighbor. I'll take care of you, man. He said, yeah, we'll get it all finished off for you, man. I said, I'd love to have it as a daily driver. I'd love to drive it every day. Hell, the engine transmission ain't got 1,000 miles on it yet. The tires either. Tires may have a little more. I got them before I got the engine. But it's air conditioning works good. Everything works good. Just doors need rehung. They don't close real good. You know how their trucks are. Kind of wind noise inside. Get that fixed. Get a paint job on it. It needs a new paint job. But that booger's bad, man. People slow down going by my house every time. They like, whoa, look at that truck. It's a cool old truck. I think I've seen pictures of it before. 3/4 ton, 1969 long bed. Man, those things have the best lines on them. Down the side, it's just beautiful lines. And oh, right. That
Well, I hope I'm not getting taken down. Just having to reboot a little bit. Huh. Can you guys still hear me?
boom, that action puts your mind in a state where
I got to reshare this. So he's talking about 9/11.
it's now open to suggestion. And you're willing to believe and listen, and you know. Yeah, it's cool when divine intervention. And it was also funny when we just started talking, his phone rang, and he, okay, hang on a second. He talks to this dude. Well, he's obviously into the local politics, big local school board, all this, man. He's going on about how all those people, man, that got picked, they're clones of his. If we got to get so-and-so in, we got to get some new people in there that, are more of our mindset. And I'm sitting there, I go, I'll do it. I'll go shake up that school board. I'll go up there and be the jerk. I don't mind. I don't know these people. I'm a resident here. I do pay my taxes. I'm thinking about it. I'm talking to him a little more about it, see what the deal is. Because it sounds like they got some liberals infiltrating our Christian conservative community, and it's not going good. And the guy was talking about, and I remember when I was in high school, I never knew where it was, but come football season and stuff, I'd usually almost every year see either West Orange Stark or West Orange, or what was it? Orange South Lake or something like that. And they're from our area. And I never knew where they're from, but I always saw these football teams in the playoffs and stuff. And this guy's talking about, man, it's been 30 years since this, they've been in the playoffs, and what will I tell them? Maybe what will I tell them? I'll tell them our education system is a hoax. I'll tell them this is no way to treat children. I'll tell them what I know, what's true. I'll tell them this is no way to treat our children. If we really cared about them, we wouldn't do this to them. And it is really more clear today to me than ever in my life, seeing how, kids are so different, seeing how they learn so different. Yeah, oh yeah, the left has been coming in here, for a long time, and they've been wide open about it, man. And their strategy has been, they took over Houston area. They always get that. They took over Austin, San Antonio. They took over in Dallas, Fort Worth. The rest of the state is still pretty staunch conservative, but the big cities are all just like anywhere else in the U.S. Anywhere else. Man, you should see the people that move here from California. It happened in my hometown, Big Spring, all the time. The New York, East Coast, West Coast. These people would come out there, they did a search or something and found, one of the cheapest places to retire, and, best climates in our area is one of them. And these people would sell a house in California or New York. Let's just go with a 1,500 square foot house. They'd sell one of those things for almost $750,000 sometimes, according to where they were. And they'd show up out in West Texas going, okay, let's see if we can find a house. And realtors go, okay, what's your price range? And they're like, 600, 700,000. They're like, okay. So they take them and show them these houses out there in West Texas, and they're like, what the hell did we get this for 600,000? It's got a pool, it's got a theater room, it's got jacuzzi, it's got cabana, it's got a grotto, it's got, what the hell? It's on 4 acres of land. Yeah, they're just losing their shit. And they're like, they can't believe it. They just can't believe it. And they go buy the biggest houses in town, and they're like, we're the rich people here. It's like, yeah, man, you just left hell. One guy from New York that he was in the Air Force. He was stationed at our base in the 70s. And when he went to New York, was a cop, and he retired, and he moved straight back there, and he knew exactly what was going on. He went for one of the nicest big old houses there we got, man. He knew what he was doing. He had all the money he needed. He sold a freaking 1,000 square foot 2-bedroom house for like $500,000 in New York. This was back in late 90s, early 2000s. He come out there and bought him a big $250,000 house, which at that time in Big Spring, you could get a 6,000 square foot house on several acres of land for that then. And he did. And then he started trying to get into local politics. And he was just enough left wing, you know, trying to bring in these radical policies. And he didn't get far. He didn't get far in politics. Not enough guy people. He opened up a little restaurant, and people were going there. He had a little Italian restaurant. People were going there for a while until he got into politics. And when he got into politics, he shut himself down. Right. And if you ever watch, my wife watches those renovation shows all the time. And the people in California are like, okay, we're going to look at a house over here. You know, it's a decent neighborhood. You know, the house is, you know, it's listed for $680,000, and they pull up to a house that anywhere I've ever lived would be $35,000, maybe $40,000, maybe. And it's just, you gotta be kidding me. You people really, really pay that. Will they listen? Tell me, will they? Will they listen? I don't think so. I don't see any reason to believe that they would start to listen now. I don't. Guys, you tell me, are the lines ever been this clear between right, wrong, good, bad? You know, have they ever been more clear than now? That's definitely their side. That's definitely our side. There's no intermingling again anymore. I mean, it's even gotten to the point where the mockery that politicians make of religion, for all of them, you know, God bless America, you know, I'm for First Amendment rights and all that. Pandering, propaganda. Pretty clear now, isn't it? It's starting to be, for me, a lot easier to see a camp of saints coming together. The divisions are getting so clear. Yeah, $4,000 a month. Yeah. I had a friend of mine, his daughter, she was 19, and this was it made me sick to my stomach, but this guy came out as gay later in life, and he's married to this old dude, this old queen that was the vice president of women's fashion for JCPenney for like 25 years. And this is now this friend of mine, lifetime friend of mine's husband. So he gets his new stepdaughter, an agent, lady he knows, has known forever. They take her in, they get her trained up to be a model, and they send her to California to do modeling work. And he says they go out there and they're looking for places for her to stay. And the only thing they could find within reasonable distance of where she was going to be working mostly was renting a room from people who had a 4-bedroom house. Rent a room from them for $1,200 a month. I was like, what? And he goes, and you know, there's a community refrigerator. She can come and go as she pleases, basically, just, you know, buffer. They let her know when we're going to do family time or something, right? And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. A room for $1,200. And I'm like, is she making $1,200 a month yet? Who's paying this? He was helping her pay it. And she did get in some JCPenney. She got a couple of ads. And it's just so funny when you know these people and you see them grow up. So I grew up as a little girl. And she grew up to be a tall, fairly attractive young woman. But she came out early as a Lebanese. And I don't know if she stuck to that, if it took or not. I never saw her with a girl or a woman. Never heard him talk about it. Never saw pictures or nothing. So I don't know. But they took her and groomed her. And when I saw her first shoots, it was like, geez, look what they did to that little girl. Look at all that makeup and her hair and the sexual, positioning and stuff they do. Just, this is a little girl I saw, from a baby grow up now. It didn't look like her. It didn't look like her at all. It just didn't. And that's what's crazy about it. And I hope she's doing well. It was her sister that I told the story about that had the premature baby that had the endoscopic endouterine surgery done and balloons put into his lungs to help inflate his lungs. Now that was her sister. Yeah, man. But hey, guys, inflation is transitory, man. It's transitory. That $20 trillion you're in debt has nothing to do with it. Nothing. But what's crazy about all this is with the money system, it actually works out. If you have a lot of debt and there's inflation, your debt actually gets to be less. Interest rates all go down again. They're going to be exactly zero here before long. But a lot of people with a lot of debt right now are going, come on, baby, crash. Ooh, come on, baby. If you'll just crash, I can wipe my slate clean and start over anew. They're begging for it. It's gotta come. Too many people, too many countries. Morning, dear. I didn't even hear you. I'm doing a live stream. Yeah. Did you sleep good?
Like Alex,
Biological weapons.
Sorry.
Dr. Schreiber was head of vaccines.
Digital's coming, man.
These are all Operation
Crazy deal. I
Paperclip.
don't know if y'all heard about this, right? But Kronos company that does timekeeping and payroll systems for large companies. And every hospital I've ever been at had a Kronos clocking system. They got hacked. And the hospital, most hospitals are having to write paper checks and stuff. That was huge. It's not their hospital that's being, targeted. It's Kronos. It's a freaking flat earth thing all across the systems. And so many companies use that system all across the country right now. There's big companies not being able to pay people, auto pays. They're having to sit down and write out checks. People aren't getting their overtime because they don't have log of it. Oh, sorry, dear. You need some water? I guess I did use the last of the water over there for coffee. I'm a terrible husband. Just terrible. But yeah, that is huge. Look into that, Lee, in y'all's area. See if any big companies have been affected by Kronos. It's spelled with a K. Yeah, it's the timekeeping company. See if they've been affected over there too. Because think about that, man. there were people storming human resources and stuff going, hey man, where's my money? I gotta have my money. I have bills due. Yeah, you gotta give me my money. I don't care who got hacked. I don't care what happened. That's what people are. I want mine. You know, in the hospital, like OR, I know that. There was people on call this whole pay period, and they turned that in, and they didn't get it. And they're going, where's my call pay? It's Christmas. You know, it's what timing, right? It's Christmas. Everybody this week was going to go out and finish Christmas shopping. And how many people's monies were delayed? How many people's whole situation was turned upside down? There's so many people out there that live paycheck to paycheck. Come on. Who is it? Seven, come on. Let's go, sugar. Come on. But there's so many people that literally live paycheck to paycheck. And bam, man. I told God. I said, yeah, how many people are getting their rims repoed on Saturday and their weeds repoed? You know? Yeah. Oh, for sure. So many people live beyond their means. For sure. So many people. They live in houses that they barely make the mortgage and bills each month. And they're eating ramen noodles. And they're driving nice cars and they're living in a nice house. But man, they're struggling. And, you know, but hey, you know, they like it when people go, man, you live in that big old house? Oh, you driving a BMW? Wow, that's nice. They like it. They don't know that that thing's running on fumes, and until you get paid, you may run out of gas before you get home. Or rental. Me.
Is making some employees at Campbell's Soup in Paris worried about their next paycheck. News 12's Kylie Dedman spoke to an employee. She joins us now live in the studio. Kylie, what does this attack have to do with Campbell's?
Jen, I spoke to Mark Jones, a 35-year Campbell's Soup employee, and he told me they found out on Tuesday that Kronos, their timekeeping system, crashed 3 days earlier. They can't even clock the way they used to, and their first thoughts, how are we going to get paid?
Oh, we're not going to get paid. That was the first thing everybody all over the floor was going, we're not going to get paid. We're not going to get paid.
Campbell's Soup in Paris uses Kronos Private Cloud, a system to allow time entries to be entered into the system. When employees at Campbell's Soup first heard about the ransomware attack on their timekeeping system, they thought that meant they weren't getting paid at all.
Our time clocks have storage on them, so they're keeping up with their time, but we're running out of them.
Jones says an idea that is being tossed around is going to paper and writing down their hours themselves.
Campbell Soup as a company is doing all that they can do to help.
After a day and a half of...
So what I'm saying here is not only is it Campbell's Soup, but as many of you know, Tommy's wife, Kathy, is on the corporate board for the Southern Baptist hospitals here or there in the Beaumont area of Texas. And their payroll is crashed right now. So this is, I don't know if it is only in the United States, but this could be a worldwide problem because Kronos, and that is time, can't keep track of time to get people paid, and right in the middle of an inflationary system. And it's not going to get fixed. This is God's judgment. That's what we're warning you about.
Uncertainty, the employees were informed they would just be receiving the same check they got the week before Kronos got hacked. Some workers are happy they had the overtime the week before, while others are working more hours this week and not getting the extra they've earned.
Actually, you really didn't know when you got your check. You were trying to, that's what I made last week.
Jones says the talk within his coworker.
That thunder is God coming in the clouds. He's coming for me. He's coming for you.
Has lined up knowing that they will be getting some money every week, especially during the Christmas season.
Everybody's feeling a lot better, a whole lot.
Yeah, because it's only 10 days to avoid the curve. Flatten the curve. Flatten the curve.
New this morning, millions of Americans are wondering if they will get paid today after a ransomware attack hit a major payroll company. Ultimate Kronos Group, one of the largest human resource companies, is affected in the security breach. Kronos leaders say systems are down and could remain that way for several weeks. Some employers are making contingency plans in order to pay workers, like shifting paper checks.
So
New this morning, millions of Americans are.
what I'm not trying to just tell you, I'm not just trying to scare you. I'm trying to show you that this is not. And I want to welcome Lisa. Oh no, I wish it would. Thank you for telling me that. I'm going to look into the sound. Welcome, Lisa. Good to see you. So here is, I'm going to go back just a little bit more, and it's harder when I'm, trying to play a video and then speak from a little bit of a distance away. And there goes another thunder. So back to Tommy now. Here is more than circumstantial evidence where they're going to be talking about this Kronos situation with it, what his wife is on the board of this corporation.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. So many people live beyond their means. For sure. So many people. They live in houses that they barely make the mortgage and bills each month. They're eating ramen noodles. And they're driving nice cars and they're living in a nice house, but man, they're struggling. And, but hey, they like it when people go, man, you live in that big old house? Oh, you driving a BMW? Wow, that's nice. They like it. They don't know that thing's running on fumes, and until you get paid, you may run out of gas before you get home. A rental. Me and my cat gonna be living in my Renault. I hope you're joking, Lee. I hope you're joking, brother. I don't want nobody to be on the street. That's terrible. It's terrible. Oh, my sister-in-law, they can't have a Christmas party.
I want to hear more about the Kronos.
That's what's crazy about it. And I hope she's doing well. It was her sister that I told the story about that had the premature baby that had to wipe my slate clean and start over anew. They're begging for it. And it's gotta come. It's terrible. But yeah, that is huge. Look into that, Lee, in y'all's area. See if any big company's been affected by Kronos. It's spelled with a K. That was huge. It's not their hospital that's being, targeted. It's Kronos. It's a freaking flat earth thing all across the systems. And so many companies use that system all across the country right now. There's big companies not being able to pay people. Auto pays. They're having to sit down and write out checks. People aren't getting their overtime because they don't have law about it. Oh, sorry, dear. You need some water? I guess I did use the last of the water over there for coffee. I'm a terrible. This is terrible. But yeah, that is huge. Look into that, Lee, in y'all's area. See if any big companies been affected by Kronos. It's spelled with a K. Yeah, the timekeeping thing company. See if they've been affected over there too. up going, hey man, where's my money? I gotta have my money. I got bills, dude. Yeah, you give me my money. I don't care who got hacked. I don't care what happened. That's what people are. I want mine. Going to the hospital, like OR, I know that. There was people on call this whole pay period, and they turned that in, and they didn't get it. And they're going, oh, where's my call back? It's Christmas. Now, it's what timing, right? It's Christmas. Everybody this week was going to go out and finish Christmas shopping. And how many people's monies were delayed? How many people's whole situation was turned upside down? There's so many people out there that live paycheck to paycheck. Come on. What is it? 7? 7, come on. Let's go, sugar. Come on. But there's so many people that literally live paycheck to paycheck. And bam, man, I spoke out and I said, yeah, how many people are getting their rims repoed on Saturday and their weeds repoed? You know? Yeah. Oh, for sure. So many people would be on their knees. For sure. So many people. They living in houses that they barely make the mortgage and bills each month. They're eating ramen noodles. And they're driving nice cars. They're living in a nice house. But man, they're struggling. And, you know, but hey, you know, they like it when people go, man, you live in that big old house? Oh, you're driving a BMW? Wow, that's nice. They like it. They don't know that that thing's running on fumes, and until you get paid, you may run out of gas before you get home. A Renault. Me and my cat gonna be living in my Renault. I hope you're joking, Lee. I hope you're joking, brother. I don't want nobody to be on the street. That's terrible. It's terrible. Oh, my sister-in-law, they can't have a Christmas party for their employees unless they're all vaccinated as jabbed, and they're all doing mask and social distancing and all that. Couldn't do it. So how are they going to do it? They had like 3 employees down a body shop, and they had like 3 employees that refused, right? So my sister-in-law, good for her. Good for her. She went, and she used to work for a hotel, a local hotel there, and she went and talked to them, and she rented out their one of their conference rooms, and is having it catered. So they're having a private party. So this hotel is not going to enforce these laws because they can come in the side door and go into their private party. And I'm just laughing at my wife going, jeez. And they're compliant. They're compliant. They didn't say, bull, we own this business, and our employees and their family are going to come here, and we're going to have a Christmas party. And it's private, just like if we were doing it in that building. And no difference. They won't stand up. They won't stand up and say no. They're compliant. They'll go rent someplace where they have perfectly good space, where everybody's comfortable. Nope. Can't do it. That's Canada. Straight report live from Canada. That's what's happening. That is, that's in Lloydminster. Lloydminster is where they live. And it's just getting worse. And they're all jabbed up. They're all jabbed up. They have their, and my brother and sister-in-law both are not in good health. They're obese. They're poor health. And they've been wearing masks this whole time. They are very compliant. They've always been very compliant. They love. I've had a few discussions with my brother-in-law about good. That's good to know.
But I've had several conversations with my brother-in-law about politics and their socialized medicine versus ours and stuff. And my mother-in-law is a perfect example. How she was over the curve of the whole life system, and they weren't going to do anything for her at the end of life. Keep her comfortable and let her go. They're not going to do any kind of cancer treatments. And they were all okay with that. They were all like, well, what do you do? Because they've been programmed, they've been taught that, hey, it's for the greater good. We can't spend $500,000 on her care, and she's going to die anyway. That's their mentality. Why would we waste that money? We can use that money on a newborn. Somebody that's going to be productive for us.
I was planning on polishing stones today. So that's gonna wrap it up for Tommy's video, A Day in the Life of Tommy. I hope I was sharing that screen there. Let's see what else I had pulled up here. Plum Island and paperclip and Lyme disease.
Some men you just can't read.
Be nice to share the screen, Alan. Come on, Paco.
Эти неопознанные летательные объекты имеют вид не просто шаров или светящихся каких-то туманных областей, а довольно четкий техногенный вид.
Американцев всегда интересовало техномагическое наследие Германии. В этом никакого сомнения быть не может.
И вдруг происходит нечто необъяснимое. Экспедиция, рассчитанная на полгода, уже через 2 месяца спешно сворачивается и покидает берега Антарктиды. Это настоящее бегство.
Stop.
Less than 100 miles from New York City is Plum Island Lab. Here, the U.S. government conducts top-secret biological experiments. Most Americans are unaware of the facility, but it has been linked to an Al-Qaeda plot and an alarming past tied to Nazi scientists. Military technology expert John Gresham has been denied access to the island. Now he decides to view the lab from the air. Once airborne, it takes less than 2 minutes by helicopter to get from the tip of Long Island to Plum Island. Along the south side of the island are the abandoned ruins of the original lab run by the Nazi scientists. It now appears to be crumbling at the hands of the elements.
It's interesting how the government just abandons the things they don't really want, but the stuff they do want to take care of, they really take good care of.
Then they approach the main lab. There, John can see the measures that the government has taken to keep the facility secure.
Well, you can see how much they've expanded since 1950. It's a very large receiving and storage facility over here, which they're clearly using very actively.
John is left wondering if Plum Island is really the best place to keep a potentially dangerous facility. Back on the ground, John analyzes the video he shot.
This is a vulnerable island. It needs to be looked at and perhaps the facility moved.
The government does plan to move the bioresearch lab to a new facility that would be built in Kansas, but the plan has been stalled.
Let's copy that. And let's move it to, we'll go to YouTube and see if we can't find one that doesn't have a copyright protection, because as long as I, don't know what else to do today, we might as well look at some of these things. And this is a big deal because this is all, it has to do with our merger in the war. Not giving too much away on that. This is the same one.
Less than 100 miles from New York City is Plum Island Lab. Here, the U.S. government
That's the kind of thing I'm looking for.
Well, thanks to science fiction, if you take the word government and laboratory, automatically there's conspiracy theories and people wondering what we're doing. When you take that and you put it on an island where nobody's allowed to go to, the theories and the conspiracies just kind of cycle up. You hear about Nazi scientists and alien technology and DNA modification, and all of it is just absolutely false. The reason why we're here is to keep hamburgers from being $100 a piece.
Oh, that's important.
Plum Island, a small island off the eastern tip of Long Island, New York, a former Coast Artillery post, is now the U.S. bastion against foreign animal diseases.
One thing we want people to understand is what we do here is trying to protect the nation's livestock, which protects the food supply and our economy. We do no classified work at Plum Island. All the work that we do, we publish all of our science. Everything is very out in the open. The laboratory was built out here over 60 years ago. We wanted to make sure when they built the lab that we're going to have any live virus, and it was not on the mainland and could not be spread. The laboratory was built out here on an island to keep it safe.
I'm a veterinarian. I became a veterinarian because I care about people, and I care about the public, and I care about the food supply. One of the biggest threats to that is a disease.
That's what everybody does that wants to be a veterinarian. I mean, everybody who cares about humans and the food supply, they want to be a veterinarian. Hoof and mouth disease much?
Disease like foot and mouth disease that doesn't exist in this country and hasn't been here since 1929. America needs Plum Island because what we do is make sure that foreign animal diseases that don't exist in livestock in this country, are controlled. So if you have a disease like foot and mouth disease, which the last outbreak in this country was 1929, once an animal's infected, it's infected for 3 years. That means you have to kill it and you have to bury it. What you have to understand about agriculture is you go in and kill that herd, you just killed out all the genetic improvements of 100 years. So bringing that back is going to be very difficult. It's estimated that if we had an outbreak of foot and mouth disease in this country, the impact will be over $50 billion just in the first year. It took us $180 billion to get our markets back and to get the economy back and the food supply back. And it could be catastrophic depending on how long it took it to get under control.
Doing research on these pathogens is, of course, difficult to do, yet it's sort of exactly what we have to do. And these are places where we can learn about how pathogens will change in certain environments, so what opportunities we might be providing to pathogens in the world at large. You can kind of recreate that in these extremely secure labs to see how will pathogens change. That would give us a huge head start if we could pinpoint where are these pathogens changing in ways that would allow them to have pandemic causing potential. If we could figure that out, then we could potentially contain them before they start to spread.
Plum Island is a very unique place. Many of the research that we're doing, indeed, we are perhaps #1 in the world. Our vaccine, the one that we developed, was the first molecular vaccine was against one single, what we call a virus serotype. And South America right now is at the edge of eradicating foot and mouth disease using vaccines against that particular strain. There is no one-size-fits-all vaccine for foot and mouth disease. One of the main obstacles is actually Mother Nature itself. Similar to what we have in flu, where the virus is ever changing and new viruses coming up, is not one virus, it's multiple viruses. They behave differently, they change, they don't stay the same for long. One vaccine to address all of those different viruses, it probably will not be possible.
On a scale of 1 to 10 for safety, Plum Island lands at an 11. There has never been a case of a person coming down with foot and mouth disease here at Plum Island, mainly because it's not a zoonotic disease and non-infectious to humans. There are 4 biosafety levels. This lab that we're in right now is a biosafety level 2. You're working with agents that are non-infectious to humans or animals, or that have a vaccine or treatment if you do get exposed.
There's some viruses that are in our hot list that we want to have vaccines for. And obviously those are viruses that are currently circulating in areas of high risk that could easily come to us. We want to have vaccines that are flexible enough that we can create a new vaccine against that new strain that just came up.
What we do in the animal wings, which is the biosafety level 3, a lot of the work is testing these countermeasures, these vaccines against animals that are infected with foot and mouth disease. The animals are checked for the typical foot and mouth disease lesion, which is a vesicle generally found on the feet. It entails examining the hoofs and then scoring the animals based on different treatment groups. And that gives you an indicator of the efficacy of your vaccine or countermeasure. Humans cannot act as a biological carrier, but we can act as a physical carrier of the virus, which is why we shower out and we leave our clothes inside the lab. The animals do not come out of BSL-3.
One of our most significant accomplishments at Plum Island Animal Disease Center has been the licensing of the first new foot and mouth disease vaccine that you can actually manufacture in the United States and you can vaccinate to live. The cost for developing these vaccines, when you look at the impact, you could pay for the cost of this vaccine in a couple of hours in an outbreak. This is a $1 trillion agriculture economy in this country. This is talking about the cost of your family is going to have to pay for their food. If it's 6 to 8% of your income, that's one thing. What if it doubles and triples? Families can't afford that. So what motivates me to get up every day is the knowledge that I can make a contribution. I can make a contribution in protecting the health and protecting the livestock and protecting this nation and make it more secure and improve the quality of life for everyone.
Here's our shithead, right there. My name is Carol Clement, and I'm the farmer here at Heather Ridge Farm. We raise sheep and goats. We have our own breeding flocks of them. We also raise pigs, cattle, and we've been running the farm full-time for 12 years. I hope we never see another outbreak of foot and mouth in this country. That would be really terrible. I saw firsthand what it was doing in Ireland and England. The horrible thing was how many animals had to be slaughtered since they thought that was the best way to stop it. So I am very concerned, should it ever be here. If I had to slaughter my farm animals because of some kind of disease, it would be a financial disaster. I don't know how any farm survives that. I'm really glad a facility like Plum Island exists to keep the livestock safe. Research is done and animals are quarantined. The virtue of it being on an island is that you can't spread problems to neighboring farms. You've got a nice body of water all around it. Being a small farm in the country, we don't have easy access to good vets. I have to find out information myself. I have to diagnose animals. I have to know how to treat. I have to have remedies on hand to deal with things. So I need more research to be done. I'm glad that the research is being done more locally because a lot of the issues of diseases have to do with the place. Part of the problem that I've seen is that corporations aren't doing research if they don't think they can make a lot of money off it. There are treatments available in other countries that are not available.
To the field and they investigate any suspect case of a foreign animal disease. When they see a potential case, they take samples and those samples arrive here in this helipad. It's extremely intense. Everything is high stakes, so there is a lot of tension. Luckily, we have a really, really qualified staff, so they manage the stress pretty well. The results of these samples needs to come out in about 3 to 6 hours. This is extremely important because that's what's going to help us to either stop movement of animals, establish quarantine zones. The public, they don't really understand what it takes to get that steak or chicken in the grocery store, and also it's cheap.
I just think that they're leading the whole world up to that type of nonsensical. Our world is being set up, but it is God's judgment that is upon us. There is a way out, and it's through studying the Bible and the Lord Jesus Christ and coming to that situation in your life where you not only confess with your mouth what you believe in your heart, then you live it out day after day with your hand to a plow, knowing that his yoke is easy, but it still is the yoke of a servant. His burden is light. Well, it's still a burden, but it's ours because this is not our home. That's the hope that lies within us. And that by reading the Bible and seeing that, just because Armageddon's over, they added 1,000 years and we've exposed history. There's no government you should trust. There's no election you should trust. This is men fighting men and a judgment from God. We have the old, the infirm, the widows, and the children to take care of for one last half of a generation. That's our mandate. That's the only mandate that comes from the Bible, is blessed are those that you can give them a drink of water at just the right time. That's why, you know, it's been my honor to, you know, be here for a couple of hours and hopefully can come back tonight. If this rain breaks, I want to, you know, put on something about the stones, because that's what matters, is to know that we have been warned for a reason. And that's because we're going to have an encompassed camp of the saints. There will be something called a beautiful city. There will be another rescue from Gog and Magog. And we need to prepare for the great white throne of judgment. That's why this is happening. So let's close in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for your love, your mercy, your grace, your kindness. Thank you for letting there always be something new and refreshing from your scriptures. I pray now that as I go forward looking for something new and refreshing to share, that you will be with me as I study. I hope that 2 or 3 agree that let's get into the Bible, and Lord, open it up. We ask in the name of Jesus. I pray for all the aches and the pains. I pray for everything weather related, and that the body of Christ will keep its eyes on the skies, looking for not only signs and wonders and just signs of his glory, but also remembering he comes in the clouds of thunder, and this is a judgment. So be aware, be prepared. This we ask, this is your unspoken request for peace and harmony as much as would be your will, Heavenly Father. Let us join with those we share in common. Let us stand firm in our faith and never let our hand off the plow. We ask in the name of Jesus. Amen. This is a flat earth nation. You know, I'm never going to tell you anything else. Why would I? I'm trying to prove that I have your best interest at heart. Amen. Hallelujah.